Hey, what's going on? Peace and blessings. Oops, excuse me. What's going on, everybody? Peace and blessings. It's Dre over here at Set Apart Gardens, man. Hope everybody's doing good today. I'm just sitting out here on my porch, man. Just enjoying me a cigar, or what's left of it, rather. Just finished painting my garage floor. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna give y'all an update probably in the next video and everything. But I just had a quick word of the day for y'all. I'm just pulling it up on my phone real quick. And you know, I'm just as things come to me, man, that lessons I'm learning in my life and things I'm applying in my life, I bring it to y'all because I feel like it'll benefit somebody, at least one person. You know, that's all I really care for. But anyways, man, hope y'all been doing good first and foremost, man. Hope everybody's being safe. But the word of the day is listen more than you talk, right? And I know we've all heard the saying, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. That means you're supposed to listen more than you talk. And really, with everything in life, man, it's wise to listen and observe. I say this scripture all the time. This is one of my favorite scriptures. Be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Serpents are wise. They're cunning. You know what I mean? They're observant. You know, they're quiet. They're slick. But also be harmless as doves. Don't go about seeking to destroy people and set up traps for people. But listening is a very great skill that one can have, right? People love you more when you listen instead of talk. Like, say if you ever been in a conversation, right? You've ever been in a conversation with somebody and, you know, they're telling you about their, you know, story or experiences or whatever the case may be, or telling you what they've achieved or what they got. It's not wise in that moment to try to one-up them and talk over them and say, oh yeah, see, I did the same thing, and blase, whatever the case may be. Whatever you want to say in that moment to be relatable, or you might not even be trying to one-up them, but you're trying to be relatable. But it's just not wise to do in that scenario, because it's the reason why this person is telling you this is because they want you to listen to what they're saying. And once they're done talking, then you can add your input, and it's wise to build on what they've already told you about themselves, to either learn more from them, to exhort them, to encourage them, you know, to keep doing what they're doing. But when you try to talk over them or try to talk about yourself while they're talking about themselves, then it can put a bad taste in their mouth and it can ruin the conversation. And this is just with everything in life, man. It's not always best to try to talk and give your feedback and input. There might be somebody who, you know, comes to you and they're talking to you about a serious matter. Maybe they're going through something in life. Maybe they're stuck at a crossroads, you know, and they're trying to figure out how to make a decision. If you let that person talk long enough and you listen long enough intently, and you may ask probing questions and different things like that, they'll eventually answer their own question. And you won't even have to give them an answer. And sometimes when people are talking, or when you see someone talking, you might be, you know, just a bystander or somebody who's just sitting around listening to people talk. It's not always best to butt in. Sometimes you may just need to see what each person is saying and examine what each person is saying, because maybe you could learn something, or maybe you can learn something about that person. Maybe you can, you know, learn things that you might not like about that person or might like about that person. But when you're talking, you're not listening. And when you're not listening, you're not taking heed and you're not learning from the experience at hand. And that's always a problem. We should always seek to learn from every experience that we encounter. Nothing is by coincidence or happenstance. Everything is for a reason. If the Most High puts you in a position and he puts you around certain people or in certain conversations, it's for a reason. It's so you can learn something. It's so you can become better. It's so you can, you know, take a liking to a person or take a disliking and see this person's true colors by what they're saying. Because if a person talks long enough, then they'll eventually expose themselves and what's in their heart, because out of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And you might learn something about that person that you didn't know. You might learn a struggle that they had that they've overcame, and that's maybe why they act the way that they act when you weren't sure, like, man, why does this person act like this? But they talk long enough and you're able to see, oh, okay, it stems from this. This is what it's rooted in. and you're able to learn. But if you're always talking, that's it for this cigar. If you're always talking and never listening, then you're never learning, you're never taking heed, you're never sharpening your mind, you're never taking the time to get to know people truly. You want people to get to know you. And listening is a selfless skill. It's a selfless art. Most people, especially in Western societies, are selfish because it's all about the individual's life and what they can achieve and what they can do for themselves. It's very individualistic. You see what I'm saying? In other cultures, it's not necessarily the case like that. A lot of other cultures, they're more so selfless. They do things, you know, labors of love for people, you know, showing hospitality. That's one thing I actually am working on with myself, is hospitality, because that's a big thing in the Bible as well, in the scriptures. The Most High teaches us to have hospitality, you know, to love our brother as ourselves. If we love our brother as ourselves, that means we have to put ourselves on the back burner sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes, you know, and it's important to exercise wisdom and discernment with that, because you don't want to put people before you all the time, because if you're constantly pouring into people and putting them before yourself all the time, then you'll have nothing left to give eventually, and then you'll turn selfish, and it'll be the other extreme where you no longer put people before you at all. So it's always a balance. It's always a middle ground where you need to be. But that all goes back to the discernment that you're exercising and that you're using, that the Spirit is leading you in. But we have to get out of this individualistic type of mindset and start, you know, paying attention and really being selfless in how we operate, man. Listening is a very important skill. You know, listening, it'll take you places where talking could never get you. People think like, oh man, you know, I want to be a great orator, and that's cool. But even the best orators understand, man, it's important to listen, because if I listen, then I'll have something worthwhile or something worth value to be able to orate to people. The best teachers were students first. The best orators or talkers were listeners first. That's how they have the library of knowledge to talk on, to orate on, is because they've listened, they've studied, they've focused on things and learned things and stored things in their library. But man, it's important to listen, and it also grants you favor with people, because if you want people to take an interest in you and want to learn what you have to say and want to see what you have to say, just be quiet long enough. And after they get done talking, eventually they're going to say, well, what about you, man? What do you do? What's your hobbies? What's your experiences with this? What's this? What's that? Then they'll start asking you questions, and then they'll start listening. You know, it's a reciprocal type of thing. When you listen long enough, people will eventually listen to you. So listen more than you talk, man. When you're on the job, your boss is saying something, your coworkers are saying something. You know, they're talking about their experiences. They're talking about this workload or whatever the case may be. Listen. Don't always try to interject because you may have a better idea, or you may want to correct them on a semantic that they may have got wrong. They might have pronounced the word wrong, or they might have, you know, misquoted something or misrepresented something. Chew the meat, spit out the bones. Understand the intent behind what they were saying. You know what I mean? And you know, if it's something that's major, correct them later, but listen to them first. You know, listen first, speak last. You don't want to be that person that's just a motor mouth. Running your mouth can get you in trouble. Running your mouth can give the enemy your game plan. You see what I'm saying? So he can know what to attack. It's important to, man, to just observe things, man, and be quiet, be humble, and understand that everybody is valuable. Everybody, no matter if you feel like, well, their vocabulary isn't up to par, they don't have as much experience as me, they don't have degrees, they don't have this type of career, they don't have this amount of money, they can still provide value to you, man. Most of our ancestors were illiterate, you know, didn't have an education, but they had wisdom out of this world. You know, all these African proverbs and all these black proverbs, black American proverbs that we've got from our ancestors who live decades upon decades of life, and they saw things. Don't think just because they're not educated like you that they don't have a college degree that they don't know anything, because they know more than you. I guarantee you, because they've saw more than you, they've experienced more than you, they went through more than you. So there's always something to be learned, but you'll never learn it if you're not listening and you're always talking. Just be careful. And another thing is this, to add on to this word, right? Before you speak, think of what you're going to say before you speak. Always take the time to be conscious and be intentional behind your speech. Don't just speak idle words. We'll be judged for every idle word that we speak. Don't just speak idle words. Don't just talk just to hear yourself. You know, when it's your time to speak, sometimes you might just need to take a pause and say, you know what do I want to say for this situation? Do I want to say the first thing that comes to my mind, or do I want to think of something else that can be more suitable for this conversation, that can be more appropriate, that can benefit? The Apostle Paul tells us in the book of 1 Corinthians, everything that we do needs to be edifying. Every gift that we operate out of, every calling that we have, everything that the Most High puts in us, we should exercise it for the edification of the body, for the believers. Because, and what he was speaking on, just to give context, he was talking about the gift of tongues, and how the gift of tongues is an important gift. But at the same time, if you're speaking in tongues only for yourself, there's no interpreter, right, that can interpret what you're saying for the edification of the body, but you're just only edifying yourself. Do that in your alone time. Speaking tongues, between you and the Most High, and that'll edify you, right? But when you're before the body of believers, if you're speaking in tongues, there needs to be an interpreter to edify the body, to be able to translate what you're saying so it can edify everyone else around you. And he goes on to say, if you seek any gift, if you long for any gift, let it be the gift of prophecy, because that edifies everybody around you, because they're able to understand that, they're able to take away from that, they're able to benefit from that. But with everything you do, with every word you speak, make sure it's edifying to the people that you're speaking to. Don't let it just be idle words. Don't let it just be words from your flesh that you want to say to prove that you're right, or you have wisdom, or people can look at you in a certain light. No. Because sometimes, and Paul even says this, and I'm about to get out of here, but Paul even says this. He said, I speak in tongues more than all y'all, but I'd rather speak 5 words that you can understand so it can edify y'all. We can all be deep. We can all have knowledge, but it's important for us to speak the simple things so the people can understand and be edified from it, and they can benefit from what we're saying. So take the time to think before you speak. That's wisdom. Because when you operate out of wisdom, not only do you find favor amongst men, but you find favor amongst the Most High. And you behave yourself wisely. And you're able to recognize the tricks of the enemy. You're able to not fall into the tricks of the enemy. But when you're busy talking, the enemy knows you're distracted, and he can swoop in and attack you, or set up a trap, set up a snare for you. But listen more than you talk. Think before you speak. And I guarantee you'll do well in life. You'll do well. But yeah, with that, man, hope y'all are having a great day, a great week. Man, we got a lot of stuff going on in the land. We harvested some purple sweet potatoes, man. I posted it on IG, on Instagram. Made a sweet potato pie with it. But man, we had these potatoes in the ground for a while, man, and they just grew like crazy. And see, that's the thing, man. You don't have to do all this hard work all the time. Sometimes you could just plant something and forget about it, and just go check it in the season where it's due, and you'll have the increase right there. Don't get caught up in the busy work. Don't get caught up in the mundane day-to-day tasks, and just be so consumed with it. Of course, fall in love with the process in the work, but at the same time, don't let it consume you. And the Most High, he'll bless you. He'll grant you abundance, man. But I hope this word benefited somebody, man. If you took anything from it, man, leave a comment down below. If you like the content, you like the channel, man, subscribe. Like I said, we got videos coming, man. A lot of different things we're doing. Right now, I'm working on transforming my garage. I'm painting in there. I just painted the floor. I'm gonna paint the walls. It's gonna be like a living space / man cave, whatever the case may be. Just so I can have a place to retreat to, and when we're hosting family and stuff like that, and we're hosting the brother and the sisters, in the body, just different things like that for the edification of people, not just myself. But I'm also about to build some dog kennels. Like I said, my female Luna, she's pregnant again, so I'm about to have some more puppies. So I just want to have a area for the dogs, that way they can have their own little space and different things like that, man. But anywho, man, sorry to be so long with it. I pray y'all benefited from this video. Somebody, it touched somebody, it spoke to somebody, and I hope that you apply it, because knowledge is not power. Knowledge applied is power. But like I always like to say, man, if you give somebody the power to feed you, give them the power to starve you. Peace.
Bombs over Baghdad really ain't that bad. Little wiretap, yes, yes. Little dodge in the IRS. Little haven from the taxman.